I need your help. Please subscribe my channel. Hey everyone. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss stories like this. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who'd have to pretend he didn't overhear his wife talking about another man. But when deceit walks through your front door, it doesn't bother knocking. It just sits down, smirks, and dares you to notice. I'm Alex, 38 years old, a building designer from Chicago. I used to believe loyalty was the truest language of love. My wife, Sarah, apparently spoke a different dialect, one that included humiliation. We'd been married for 9 years, the couple everyone called solid. We hosted backyard barbecues, mailed out Christmas cards, smiled for pictures like we had life perfectly figured out. But underneath those smiles, something had been rotting for a long time. I just didn't catch the smell until the night everything burned down. It started on a regular Friday. I came home earlier than usual, the sky still purple from sunset. Her car was in the driveway, music spilling from the living room. I could hear her laughing through the walls. At first I assumed she was on the phone with a friend. I was wrong. I stepped inside quietly. She was stretched out on the couch, a glass of wine in one hand, her phone in the other, headphones draped around her neck. Her best friend Jessica was on speaker. And then I caught the end of a sentence that stopped me cold. I'm serious, Jess, he's nothing like Alex. This guy, wow, he's really something. And he knows exactly what he's doing. Laughter erupted. My wife laughing like a teenager with a secret she couldn't wait to share. My whole body went numb. Heat crawled up my spine, but my brain froze. I didn't yell, didn't move. Just stood there, watching her gush over another man like I was invisible. When she finally noticed me, her smile disappeared. The color drained from her face like a switch had been flipped. Alex, she stammered. I lifted a hand. Finish your call. Don't let me interrupt. She scrambled for words, hung up quickly, mumbling something about just girl talk. Yeah, I said. Just girl talk. I walked past her into our bedroom and shut the door. I didn't cry. I barely breathed. I just sat on the edge of the bed staring at our wedding photo, her head on my shoulder. Both of us smiling with a kind of purity I didn't recognize anymore. That night she tried to explain. Something about feeling stuck, craving excitement, how men were different. Every excuse felt like another knife turning in my gut. She wasn't sorry. She was defensive, as if I had failed her. So I listened quietly, the way an architect studies a structure before tearing it down. The next morning, I got up like nothing had happened. Went to work. Kissed her on the cheek. Told her I loved her. She looked surprised, maybe relieved. She didn't realize that by that evening, her world would start collapsing piece by piece. That night, while she showered, I opened her phone. Synced her messages to my computer. The man's name was Tyler. A fitness trainer from her gym. Younger, cockier, with that shallow kind of charm some women confuse with confidence. The texts were graphic enough to shatter anyone's pride. But instead of anger, I felt calm. Strategic. That weekend, I invited her parents over for dinner. Set the table with her favorite dishes. Lit candles. Everything looked perfect. When they arrived, Sarah played the devoted wife, smiling, serving drinks, acting like nothing was wrong. Midway through dinner, I excused myself and went to the living room. I connected my computer to the TV. When I came back, I pressed play. Her text messages appeared on the screen. Every word, every emoji, every sound she thought was private. Her mom gasped. Her dad's fork clattered onto the plate. Sarah froze, face pale as paper. Alex, she started, lunging for the remote. But it was too late. Her father had seen enough. Her mother whispered, Sarah, what is this? I stood there, steady as a tide before a storm. That's the woman I married, I said quietly. Turns out I never really knew her. The silence that followed was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. Sarah just stood there trembling, eyes darting between her parents and me like a trapped animal looking for an exit. Her father's face hardened, humiliation replacing shock. Her mother couldn't even look at her. Alex, her dad said softly, I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. I didn't speak. There was nothing left to say. After her parents left, Sarah tried again. We can fix this, she pleaded, following me down the hall. I'll end it with him. We'll go to therapy. Please, we can make it work. I turned to her. Sarah, the moment you laughed about another man while wearing my ring, something died. I'm just giving it a proper burial. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Pack your things. The locks change tomorrow. Her face twisted in disbelief. You're throwing away 9 years over one mistake? I let out a dry laugh. A mistake is a moment. What you did was a pattern. My only mistake was believing fidelity still mattered to you. She went silent, grabbed a few bags and stormed out, slamming the door like it could still hurt me. It didn't. That night I sat on the couch, the quiet wrapping around me like peace for the first time in years. The house finally exhaled, free of lies. The next few weeks passed in a blur. She called, texted, even showed up at my office once. I ignored everything. The divorce papers were filed within a month. Mutual friends tried to talk me into forgiveness, into moving on. But forgiveness wasn't the problem. Trust was, and once that's broken, it cuts through everyone. Still, karma has its own pace. Mine wasn't loud or cruel, just deliberate. See, Tyler, the trainer, was married too. His wife, Emily, found out about the affair when I sent her a neatly organized folder of screenshots and photos. No message, no commentary, just truth. Days later, she filed for divorce. And when Tyler's reputation took a hit, his gym dropped him to save face. Sarah found out soon after. She texted me one last time. You didn't have to ruin his life. I replied with one line. You bragged about his big talent. I just made sure everyone knew where he used it. After that, nothing. Absolute silence. Months passed. I focused on work, pushed harder at the gym, started sleeping without ghosts hovering over me. The house felt lighter, cleaner. Some nights I'd stand by the window, thinking about how something that once felt unshakable could turn to ashes. But then I'd remind myself, not everything broken needs to be fixed. Some things are meant to stay buried. A year later, I ran into her mother at a cafe. She looked older, worn down. She told me Sarah had moved to Denver, living alone, working part-time, trying to find herself. I nodded politely, offered no opinion. As I turned to leave, her mom touched my arm and said softly, "You did what you had to do." That night, I poured myself a whiskey, sat out on the porch, and thought about how love once felt like safety. But now, peace did. If that chaos taught me anything, it's this. You can't build forever with someone who treats loyalty like a hobby. The day she mocked me to her friend, she thought she'd won some kind of power game. But power built on lies always collapses. And when it did, the quiet man she underestimated simply walked away. Because sometimes the sharpest revenge isn't anger. It's self-respect. And that's what I kept when she lost everything.